Lip Reader is a book about a young girl, 12 years old. Her name is Safi Traylor. She is on a cross-country journey with her mother to visit family in southwestern Oklahoma, which just happens to be inspired by the Anadarko, Fort Cobb, and Chickasha area. When this girl visits her family in this rural setting, she is surprised to discover that the family that she's never met before has an inherited deafness. It's a culture that this girl quickly has to learn to understand. Safi learns that sign language is the first language of her relatives. She has to learn that their world is mostly inspired by visual images and just things that are nonverbal. Feelings normally are communicated through body language, through just making eye contact, and then there is also the issue of learning sign language. And this girl has never seen anyone use sign language before. She gets a crash course in how to communicate with a grandmother who's deaf, and also a cousin who also struggles with some issues. She has to learn to face her, and the issue of lip reading itself, which is the title of the book, Lip Reader, is something that these characters that she meets for the first time, they all are lip readers. I have been a part of the hearing loss world, if you want to call it that, for 8 years when I was diagnosed with progressive hearing loss. What that means is I am halfway between the hearing world and the deaf world. So I rely heavily on visual cues in order to communicate. In the book Lip Reader, the characters are actually dependent upon what they see. They are dependent upon having someone to point things out to them, to gesture to them, to, again, make eye contact. Things are very visual. So the world is seen in a completely different way for this young girl who is used to enjoying music, to having all different types of environmental sounds. She's a young girl, so she has friends who talk and make lots of sounds. She has to immerse herself in a culture that doesn't have the opportunity to be able to hear, but they can see everything around them. This character, Safi, gets to experience the world through her eyes, not just her ears. Lip Reader is a work of fiction, loosely inspired by my own hearing loss journey and by my extended family that resides in the Caddo County area of Oklahoma. The connections with those people who I grew up with in real life and the characters in the book have some similarities, but for the most part, the concepts in the book are completely fictional. When I left USAO, I thought that I was going to be a big city news reporter in Oklahoma City. I had received a job offer for a newspaper, and life took a different turn. It didn't end up that way. I spent another year in Oklahoma after graduating from USAO in 1996. Upon a year after graduation, I was married, and my husband and I relocated to Kansas City, and I discovered that there's a whole other job market in Kansas City as compared to Oklahoma. A lot of opportunities for writers. And my life has taken more of a feature writing direction, not so much for a publication, but stories, writing stories, short stories, novellas, novels, memoir. I've had the opportunity to make great contacts where I live in that field. People who read my blog would learn that I am a lip reader. What lip reader means is someone who depends upon, again, the visual. Since my hearing is compromised and I have progressive hearing loss, they will learn that my type of writing is all about what my life is like as a person who is a lip reader. I write articles that advocate for hearing loss awareness, research, just inspiring the hearing world to understand what it's like to have any type of a hearing loss and to have empathy for what that individual goes through on a daily basis. My hearing loss is progressive. When it was diagnosed in 2001, it seemed to be a sudden loss, but in hindsight, I think there was possibly a mild loss that I would have had prior to the diagnosis. It's very hard to speculate because no one knows. My doctor has no clue as to what caused my hearing loss. We don't even know if the family history of hearing loss on my paternal side of the family has anything to do with my hearing loss. What we do know is that 2 months after my oldest son was born, I continued from delivering him to being home 2 months later, have a persistent ringing in both of my ears. That was a cue that something wasn't right with my ears, and that precipitated what you would call the progressive hearing loss. That is a symptom for many people who are losing their hearing, is to have ringing, or tinnitus is what it's called. When I'm not writing, I'm chasing after an 8-year-old son, an almost 5-year-old daughter, and an 18-month-old little boy. Definitely chasing after the 18-month-old boy. We have school activities. I'm involved in volunteering for the community. My husband and I have been married for 13 years. We belong to a very busy church and involved in different ministries there. We love our neighbors. We get together for block parties, cookouts, babysitting, playdate swaps. Life is busy. I am a full-time stay-at-home mom as well as a writer. So that's what my world is. U.S.